This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'll begin our Montachusett Joint Transportation Committee meeting. I'll start off with the introduction of all our attendees. I'm Bob Swartz. I'm the chairman of the committee. Can we have just follow in sequence, please?
So Bob, I think what we've been doing is because everybody sort of sees a different order on the screen.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to call people off by name, or I could do that if you'd like, and then the person could just state.
Well, if you could do that, because I can't see them all.
Okay, yep, I can do that. So I'm Brian Doherty with MRPC. Bruno Fisher.
Good afternoon, Bruno Fisher. I'm the administrator at the Montachusett Regional Transit Authority here in Pittsburgh. Good afternoon.
Laura Schifrin.
Laura Schifrin from Townsend Select Board and Planning Board.
Tyler Godin.
And MRPC, I should say.
Tyler Godin. Okay, Tyler, looks like your microphone's not working. I can see it's on, but just so you know. George Snow.
MRPC staff.
Brian Keating.
Hi, Brian Keating, Planning Director, Lancaster.
Travis Condon.
Travis Condon, Public Affairs Manager for the North Central Mass Chamber.
Amanda Reed.
Amanda Reed, Lunenburg Planning Board.
Sarah Bradbury.
Yeah, Sarah Bradbury from MassDOT District 3 Planning.
George Kahali.
George Kahali Mart.
Beth Faxon. Elizabeth Faxon.
Do you see her on, Brian?
I do see her on, but and I see her microphone's on. I don't know if she's having the same issue as Tyler is or not, but that's fine. Daryl Amaral.
Hey, good afternoon here, District 2.
Dick Kilhart.
Present, Pathol, DPW.
And Elizabeth Wood.
Here, present, Leominster.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Next is the approval of the December 11th, 2024 minutes. And rather than go through this thing, are there any objections or changes that anyone wants to make to those minutes?
I have a question. We don't have any written minutes.
You don't have any?
Yeah.
George, let me check if I ended up putting those in the folder. If not, I do have them. I'll make sure they're in there, and I'll bring them up on the screen as well.
Yeah, I didn't on the OneDrive link either.
I did not receive them.
Okay.
I didn't either, Brian.
All right, I apologize for that. I will. Oh, we can table that for now if you'd like and come back to it.
Let's table that. Item number 4 is a MART incident report. George, are you going to do that, or is somebody else from
Yeah,
the MART?
I can give a brief introduction on that, Bob. For those of you who were here last month, you might remember there was some concern discussion regarding some recent safety incidents involving MART vehicles. I'd like to thank Bruno Fisher, MART's administrator and CEO, for being here today to just kind of give a little bit more context and give a chance for people to ask any questions that they may have. Bruno?
Sure. And thanks, Brian and MJTC for having me. So I just wanted to give you a little kind of just some background on the two accidents. Again, I can't get into a lot of detail beyond probably what's publicly known, but just give you some of that because both of these are now the subject of some pending litigation, so really can't get too deeply into it. But so there were two, fairly significant, and unfortunately, fairly close together accidents. There was an accident on November 14th, give or take, at around 7:45 in the morning, where a fixed route bus that was pulling into the second bus bay at the intermodal down in there, down in downtown Fitchburg, ended up going over the curb, struck a pedestrian, hit the kind of that concourse, glass concourse section of the intermodal, and then the individual that struck the pedestrian was actually partially trapped under the vehicle. The emergency services, literally, fire departments literally across the street, was there probably in less than 5 minutes, was able to extricate the individual, and they were taken initially by ambulance to some location in Fitchburg for a life flight to Worcester. The person, recovering, obviously, is fairly seriously injured. That was pretty much most of that one. The other accident occurred a couple weeks later on the 26th of November, give or take around 8 a.m. in the morning, where a fixed route bus that was going through its normal part of the route at the Montachusett Community College was coming down as a driveway that, if you're familiar with the college at all, if you're like at the hospital side, the lot on the right side of Montachusett is lot B. There's a driveway that kind of circles around that outside, and then there's all the parking lot in the middle and different driveways that come out each one. So he was circling the driveway on the northern end of lot B, came to the corner at the end as they were turning turning left to approach the bus stop and shelter, went over the curb and struck 3 individuals that were waiting for the bus, as well as hitting a light pole. And again, emergency services showed up on the scene, and they ended up taking all 3 of the individuals to the hospital, kind of as a precaution. I guess they were all released relatively quickly, but again, they were taken to the hospital, and again, it was 3 of them. So those were the 2 incidents that I wanted to bring up and at least give some context around. And again, where it's pending litigation, we really can't answer a lot of questions about it, but I wanted to answer any questions that might come up that I might be able to answer, and then talk just a little bit about some improvements we're making, both physical and some technology and training that we're doing. So I don't know if there was any questions just on the kind of summaries of the 2 accidents. All right, so hearing none, and again, at the end of this, if people have questions, I'll take those as well. So what we've done is we've started to do a number of things. So at the intermodal, we're actually probably a few weeks away from putting in bollards, steel and concrete bollards that are going to go basically be placed. There's 6 bus bays down there, so where there's little concrete, kind of walkways on both sides, and then the bus can pull into each one of those bus bays slips down there. So we're putting 2 bollards at the end of each one of those, as well, basically a little bit behind the curbing. And then we're also going to be placing another bollard in those concrete jut outs, kind of that are walkable concrete surface area. We're going to be doing the same thing, taking the same bollards and putting them behind the curbing in those jut outs in between each one of the bus bays. And again, so should be able to restrict any vehicle from being able to go with the curb and hitting the vehicle or any pedestrians in the future. We're also adding, because we will have, you'll hear a couple more things about this, but we have a pretty significant problem with people just kind of wandering through that whole bus bay area, kind of entry and service area. So we're actually, there's some fencing that's down there now on the northern side of the thing, mostly towards Main Street, but we're going to be adding some additional fencing along both the north and south perimeters of that whole bus bay area. Again, because people can walk out of the garage, and basically there's a sidewalk that walks to the commuter rail platform, but there's kind of sidewalk curbing there, but people can walk right out of there. So we're going to be doing those fencing areas. We're also going to be basically taking the entire area that bus bays where they pull in, as well as there's a fairly large kind of lot area that they back in and out of. We're going to shade all of that yellow. So it's, and then put signs up all over the place down there. There's some signs now, but it's not shaded. But there's signs that restrict people from entering there as pedestrians or cars, but doesn't seem to do a lot. And there's really no way, because basically as you come off of Main Street through the archway, there's a you kind of pull in through the arches, go around the right side. The buses enter, and then as they leave, they go out the left side. And there's a little some parking of cars in the middle. But cars literally, taxi cabs, whatever, they literally pull right into that whole area. As well as people just walk in. Again, we can restrict them somewhat from the intermodal side, the building side, but on that other side, they literally there's a walkway coming off of Main Street. Again, with that fencing there, that many people just walk right through the driveway and walking behind the vehicles. We literally had a mother the other day pushing a carriage behind one of the buses that was backing up, and so avoided tragedy. But so we're doing a lot more with that. But again, part of the problem is that there's really no way to restrict the flow of you can't put fencing or anything up, because the buses literally in and out of there every few minutes or whatever. So but we are going to put up a significant amount of signage and again restrict that area. And then we're also doing a lot more camera monitoring or whatever, and basically having our security guards literally anytime they see anyone out there, restrict them. And if we have the same problems with people, we will probably at some point just have to limit their ability to come to the intermodal through the trespass notice or whatnot, because it is a significant problem. So, but again, that's what we're trying to do as far as physical improvements down at the intermodal. Up at Mount, we're actually we're contacting the Mount Wachusett Community College, obviously probably the president and their maintenance people, to see if we can get them to install the stop sign again. This northern kind of driveway that encircles Lot B. As you come down again to the end of it, where it basically just the driveway curves to the left, and there's sidewalk there where people can walk up and get into the back side of the college. We're thinking if we can install a stop sign there, so that at least a bus and obviously cars that come through there that currently don't have to stop, and with pedestrians kind of passing between the parking lot and the building, to see if we could get a stop sign there to at least have to come to a stop again, because it appears that driver, as he came around the corner, just went up on the curbing, and that's what caused the issue there. But wondering if it stopped, it would have been much less in motion there. So again, we're going to work with them out on that. From a technology standpoint, we've actually started, we've been researching this for probably about 6 months or so. So even before the accident, although a lot of these things that I'm going to mention now are fairly costly improvements. A lot of buses, some of our buses are older ones. They wouldn't even be able to accommodate some of these potential upgrades. But some of the upgrades we're looking to, you hear that like cars, they have what they call OBD2. It's an onboard diagnostics. That's where you get your telemetry and lots of information about the vehicle from. That's a lot of collision avoidance systems or whatever. So what we're looking at is some of the newer buses we've got to see if we can use that OBD technology and the devices that are already on the vehicle and add to them, again, kind of like additional systems added to the OBD devices, looking at potentially like collision avoidance, like a lot of cars now, actually a lot of cars, not even the higher end cars anymore, have that collision avoidance. Lane positioning systems, again, that's fairly popular in most cars, and now coming around in the transit industry, but not a lot of vehicles come with that. It has to be added. A couple of things like blind spot detection and pedestrian detection systems. Again, those usually use the cameras that are on the vehicles as well as sensors and whatnot. And another item we're looking at is mirrorless camera systems. Basically, instead of the mirrors being it's all being a mirror, part of that mirror is actually a camera that looks around the bus or whatever, backwards towards the back. So looking again towards those type of things to see if any of that can be embedded in some of our vehicles and upgrades or whatever, so that we can potentially avoid some of this in the future. On the driver training side, we've gone back through and done a repeat training of all the normal annual training: defensive driving, passenger safety, passenger assistance, first aid, CPR, and a whole host of others. So we've done another round of that. We also have sent an initial group of our drivers down to a training school in West Boylston, CMSC, and kind of basically to get improve on their understanding challenges in the road and driving, especially transit driving, professional driving, increased awareness, how the surrounding your operating environment when they're driving, other kind of professional training tools that they use. So I think we've already sent 10 or 12 drivers already down there for that. And then the last item there is we're actually working with our insurance carrier right now, Travelers, they have a fairly large suite of training programs and training tools that are available to us, as any other commercial customers. And we've used some of them, but we're actually trying to work with them to customize more of a robust safety training program. Again, trying to improve driver, road knowledge and awareness and behaviors on the road or whatever. So those are, again, kind of a across the board smattering of all the things we're trying to do, kind of in follow up to those couple of accidents. And glad to take any questions or provide any info if anybody's got any questions.
Just a comment, Chairman, if I may. I want to thank Bruno for being here and all the information and reviewing the minutes of our last meeting. There was quite a bit of discussion about everything he is talking about, so we're happy for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. I guess we're all interested in the outcome of the investigations and when the litigation is completed. I think those are the things that really interest us. Fully understand you can't address those at this time. Well, moving on. The public participation plan, you've all received copies of those. In fact, I believe there was an amended one that just came out. Do we have any comments about that? Or Brian, do you want to address that?
I can give a overview of this. So we have the public participation plan. This is another federally required document the MPO is required to put together. Basically, this is our procedures for public outreach and that type of thing. We have a draft plan out for a 45-day public comment period currently, which is required by law. You can see it in the handouts here. It's also on our website. The comment period ends February 3rd. I can give a brief overview of exactly what we're trying to get at by updating this plan. Basically, the last time this was updated was 2017, so pre-pandemic. A number of things have obviously changed since then. At that point, we primarily met in person, almost never online. So, we updated a lot of the language in our public meeting sections and outreach sections related to that. Most of our goals and principles remain substantially the same in this plan. We've reformatted it a little bit, made it easier to read, got rid of some repetitive type of language, updated some legislative references and policy references, that type of thing. Tried to make it a little bit less technical and clarified it a little bit to make it easier for us to reference and for those on the outside to reference as well. So basically, just updated it in terms of how we operate now and made it a little bit easier to understand. Again, this full draft was released by the MPO in December. It's out for public comment until February 3rd. So feel free to reach out to myself, or if you go to our website on the announcements page, you can follow the prompt to make a comment. What we'll do is come back in February, and if there are any comments at that point, we'll review that with the JTC, Upon that time, we'll make a recommendation to the MPO whether or not to endorse this at their February meeting. Again, this is what they have, what we have right now. And if there's any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Anyone have any comments or suggestions? I admit I have not read it, but I started going through it. Some things caught my eye, and I assure you, Brian, I will read it. Hopefully I have some ideas just popped into my head for improvements. We'll see what happens.
Please do. Thank you.
Item number 6, development for the fiscal years 2026 through 2030 Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP.
Okay, I'll take this as well. I think I gave a brief overview at last month's meeting. Basically, we're kicking off our TIP development cycle. And just as a reminder, Transportation Improvement Program, it's basically a listing of all federal investments in the region. Includes investments on the highway side and the transit side. Also things like federal grants in the region. Another federally required document that the MPO is required to put together. And our role as JTC is to review these as we build this program, provide some feedback to the MPO throughout the next several months. It's a 5-year document. So the updated plan will be from federal fiscal year 2026 through 2030, believe it or not.
Yep.
And what we see in your handouts here is a development schedule that we plan on following. Again, we're still at the very beginning stage of this. Staff is in the process of updating project statuses. We've been in contact with various project proponents, design consultants, community staff, Mass DOT, we work closely with. In the coming weeks, we'll have even more information. A few weeks from now, we'll have our budget to work off of and what's called the target section, where we'll have a lot of discussion because that's where the MPO has discretion over project placement. So what I included today is our current program, the 25 through 29 program, as it currently is. Hoping this will give everyone a refresher as to where we left off last year. The idea is to take this list, we'll drop 2025, add 2030, and get all the status updates for the projects and reprioritize. There's also a transit section. I provided that list as it stands right now in the handouts. I won't go over this in detail. This is put together by MART. It includes things like facility maintenance, bus purchases, that type of thing. This is available for your review. The idea is to get familiar with this throughout the next several months so we can build the next program. I'd like to go over the highway projects today because, again, that's where we have discretion on placement and we'll have the most discussions over the next few months. If you look on this list right now, this is how it's currently presented in the document. What you see under the first green column here, Section 1A, regionally prioritized projects. That section is what we call the target section. That's where the MPO has discretion over project placement. Next month when we meet, we'll talk about what we have for a budget. Typically, in recent years, it's been about $16 or $17 million a year. We'll talk about the list of projects that we'll consider to program in each one of these 5 federal fiscal years. Again, this is Section 1A where we'll have the most discussion. So I will go over briefly what we have on the list right now as a refresher. In 2025, we have Leominster reconstruction on Route 12, Central Street. This project's what's called advanced constructed over 3 construction seasons. It was actually listed in 2024. Now it is in 25 and 26 as well. Along with that, in Section 1A, we have Harvard resurfacing and box widening on Air Road. Much like the Leominster project, this is advanced construction, constructed over 2 years, 25 and 26, as it stands now. Really, these are the projects that we're in this section trying to get status updates, mostly concerned about cost and design status. And we'll have a lot of those updates beginning next month. I'll go over the sections below as well. These are prioritized by Mass DOT, but they're also in our region. Again, federal funding is being allocated, so we're required to carry this in our program. In 2025, we have listed Gardner. They got a Vision Zero Supplemental Safety Action Plan grant. It's federal funding, so we're required to carry it in our program. We actually amended this onto the tip, if you remember, a few months ago. Hubbardston Bridge Replacement, Williamsville Road over Burnshirt River. And Sterling Stormwater Drainage Improvements, Wachusett Reservoir on Route 110. Gardner, Elm Street Resurfacing and Sidewalk Improvements. That's a Safe Routes to School project. And the last project we have in 2025 is Fitchburg Twin Cities Rail Trail Construction Phase 2. This Fitchburg Twin Cities project, Phase 2, is advanced constructed over 2 construction seasons. You'll see that listed in 2026 as well. Moving to 2026, again, we have the Leominster Reconstruction Rehab on Route 12, along with Ashburnham Road Rehab on 101, and Harvard Resurfacing and Box Widening on Air Road. Further down the list, we have Athol Bridge Replacement, Main Street over the Boston Main Railroad, Harvard Lancaster Bridge Replacement, Jackson Road over Nashua River, Harvard Littleton Acton Concord guide and traffic sign replacement on a section of Route 2. Any project that touches the Montachusett region, we're required to carry. I know this particular project has Acton, Concord, and Littleton, but a small portion of Harvard as well, so we carry it on our list. Along with Fitchburg, improvements at Memorial Middle School, another Safe Routes to School project in 2026, and the second year of the Twin Cities Rail Trail Phase 2. In 27, currently we have Athol intersection improvements at 2A and Brookside Road, along with Templeton reconstruction of Route 68, Clinton reconstruction of Sterling Street, which is Route 62. In Fitchburg, Ashby, we have resurfacing related work on Route 31. Gardner, bike path construction, North Central Pathway over Route 140. Moving on to 2028, currently the second year, advanced constructed year of Templeton reconstruction of 68. Fitchburg reconstruction of John Fitch Highway. Sterling intersection improvements 140 and 62. Athol and Orange bridge replacement, Logan Road over each branch of Tully River. Leominster Lancaster pavement preservation related work on Route 2. Petersham culvert replacement, New Salem Road over unnamed brook. And finally, in the final year of the current active program, 2029, we have Air Road rehab on Route 2A and 111. This is downtown. In Winchendon, we have intersection improvements at Blair Square. In Athol, sidewalk installation on Templeton Road. And in Gardner, bridge rehab, Mill Street over Baker Brook. Again, this is just to get reintroduced to the project as we left them. Again, we'll have most of our discussion on Section 1A. That's where we have discretion. We'll be focusing on design statuses, cost changes, budget. It's a fiscally constrained document, so we cannot go over our regional allotment. So there'll be plenty of things to peruse over the next few months and to suggest to the NPO. We'll end up building some scenarios in March and talk about those. And the plan is in April, come back with a draft list to put out for public comment and come back in May, review the comments, and hopefully have an endorsed tip by that point, the NPO meeting on May 21st. So that's my update for today. Still at the beginning stages. We'll get more into the details of the target section at next month's meeting.
Thank you, Brian. And just to add to a note, there are 2 of those projects that I'm familiar with, and they're completed, which is to me amazing. One is in East Templeton, where there was a roundabout that was installed. Screwed up the area unbelievably for about 2 years, but it's finally completed. And then another one in Gardner on Elm Street and Pearl Street, where there was a rotary in there, which is now a roundabout. And it's pretty kind of squirrely to get through. But so far, no one's had any accidents, so I guess it's working. But it is complete now. Thank you for that. Item number 6 again is the development of the fiscal year 2026 Unified Planning Work Program. You got something on that, Brian?
Yep, and this is just a quick reminder. I went over this in December. Much like the TIP, this is a federally required document that the MPO puts together. Essentially, this is our work program related to the main contract that we as staff at the MRPC have to conduct business of the MPO and put together these documents and everything by law we're required to do as an MPO. This is a contract that we have between MRPC and MassDOT, Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Administration. So as we have in the past, we anticipate having room in our budget to solicit projects from the communities. So in this memo, we have some examples of some of the things that we've done in the past: intersection studies, safety analysis, that type of thing. Basically anything that you may need in your community, transportation related, we would consider. If you'd like, you could reach out to myself or Sherry Bean from our staff, who is coordinating the UPWP, and we can have a conversation about how that may work. We have an open solicitation period open until February 7th, so we ask that you reach out to us to talk about any proposed project that you think we may be able to carry in this work program. So again, that's a reminder. Much like the TIP, we'll be reviewing some additional materials as we move through the process with the JTC, with the idea that we get recommendations to the MPO, come up with a full draft of this document in April, and come back in May and endorse. And again, if there's any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Sherry.
Very good.
Bob, just on that sheet, I don't know if this is a typo or not, but it says to submit your project requests by 2/7/24.
Right, that should be 25. I apologize about that. Yeah, we sent this memo out to all of our mailing lists yesterday. We did have the updated date on there. We do have 25 on that one.
Very good. Item number 7, contract status reports. First one is the FTA, and then a regional transit and Mass DOT.
FTA, this is related to our transit tasks in our UPWP, more or less. One small update I can give on that is we most recently this week met with MART. We'll be taking a look at some of a report that a consultant has previously done for them, reviewing that for them, working along with MART staff to see if we can complete some of the recommendations within that report. So that's the update for this month.
Okay. Anything on the MART or the Regional Transit Authority? That's the MART. The MART.
Yes, I do have one update. Due to the Nashoba Valley Medical Center closing, MART was recently notified of Mass DOT award of a successful grant application. The grant is funded through June of 2026, 1.5 years for its shuttle service to Emerson Hospital from the towns of Ayer, Shirley, and Hartford, providing healthcare options for the many residents of the region negatively impacted by the recent closure of the Nashoba Valley Medical Center. We are working with the impacted towns to create this new service to the hospital, and very soon we'll be having this service hopefully by mid-February.
Very good, George. Good to know.
Yes, we got some $278,000 to spend on this service in
Good to
1.5
know.
years.
Because
Thank you.
I've been receiving inquiries from friends of mine that one live in Ashby and around that used to go to Nashoba, and they were asking me about what Hayward Hospital was about, things like that. But for you going to Emerson, taking people to Emerson, it's just another option that they can do. That's very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, George. Administrative matters. Brian, again.
So before we get to that, we still have our Mass Department of Transportation 3C.
Oh, okay. Sorry
So
about that.
again, this is kind of the other section of our work program we give updates on. We just want to share a handout from our partners at the Division of Ecological Restoration, as they've done in the past. Again, they're beginning the process of accepting culvert replacement project inquiries. So they asked to schedule a call with DER staff by January 10th, just 2 days from now. So if you think you have a prospective project for a culvert replacement, you can click the link on this form and schedule a call with them to talk it out. Another thing that we have is in relation to the MPO. You may have noticed this. If you haven't seen it already, this is our new MPO logo. Common practice for an MPO to have its own logo. It's a little confusing because staff, we are employed by Montachusett Regional Planning Commission, so you might see our logo a lot. But the MPO is sort of a separate type of entity. It's federally required group to pass a lot of these reports and plans related to the TIP and other things, long range plan. It's really the MPO that endorses those products. In recent months, over the last 6 months, the MPO has made a number of comments related to plans such as the Northern Tier Railroad study or the Route 2 study, if you remember correctly.
Yep.
In October, we had a discussion. We made an official comment to the MPO. We felt the need to have a logo and a letterhead. It's pretty much ubiquitous across the country. All MPOs have their own letterhead. So finally, we have our own. So don't get confused if you see this. We'll be putting it on most of our documents moving forward, just to make sure that we have a little bit more presence. And finally, also related to the MPO, we are conducting a caucus for sub-region representatives to the MPO. We sent this notice out to town managers and CEOs yesterday. We're asking them to appoint somebody to represent their community at our caucus that we have scheduled Thursday, February 13th at 5 o'clock in our offices in Leominster. This is for the communities that are part of our MPO. Basically, there are 9 signatories that are members of the MPO. We have the 3 cities, Leominster, Fitchburg, and Gardner. We have a signatory from Mass DOT Highway Division and the Secretary and CEO's office. So 2 from Mass DOT and 1 from MART. And the remainder of the 9, there are 4 subregions you can see in this handout. What we have in place is we have 1 representative from each of these subregions as a voting member at MPO meetings. This is an effort to re-engage membership and hold a caucus to determine who will be the subregion representative in each of the 4 subregions. So again, we sent a notice out to town managers and CEOs yesterday, asking them to appoint somebody from their community to represent the town at the caucus that we're having on the 13th. We'll have a snow date scheduled for February 20th if we need that. Any questions on these, please reach out to me, and we'll be promoting this over the next few weeks.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the on the MPO logo. Why do you have one in color, one in gray and black?
This is, I guess it would be an administrative problem, George. This is, so we did this logo in-house, and we're trying to figure out how to make it look good on different things. So, if anyone's ever worked with logos before, if you try to put this on a coffee mug or a pencil or anything like that, it's impossible. So, it looks good on a computer screen, but we're working through it. We have a black and white version and a color version. This is just so you'll know what you're looking at when you see it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, George. I had the same question. Brian, on this sub-region election caucus, I didn't see the city's names on there, but are we included as well?
So no, you're not, because it's pretty easy for the city signatories. Basically, the mayor will appoint somebody. So it's pretty straightforward. For the subregions, there's multiple communities in each subregion. So there's a need to have a caucus and have some communication. And the way we came up with these subregions back 20 years ago, I think, is, by geographically, they're close to each other, the communities, and also they're all roughly 30 to 35,000 population. So this is what's worked out in the past. So the caucus is for the subregions only.
Thank you. One more meeting I won't have to attend. Thank you.
And that's all I have for Mass DOT 3C updates.
Okay. Now we're into administrative matters.
Okay, so I guess a part of this, we can go out back and revisit the minutes. I apologize again, that wasn't in the folder. What I would suggest is I can add this to the February agenda. We can come back. People, if they wish to, will have time to look at this in detail, and we can just endorse both December 24 and January 25 minutes at our February meeting. And for future reference, if you ever want to view minutes or meeting recording, you can go to our website. And if you go to boards and committees up here, and this goes for any meeting at the MRPC, you can see MJTC. There's a tab here. You can click on that. And if you scroll down, you can see agendas, minutes, and recordings down on the right-hand side, among other information as well. So just for future reference. So that's what I'm proposing, is I can add this onto the agenda for February, and we can just endorse 2 sets of minutes at the February meeting, if that's okay with everyone.
I was just going to suggest the same thing, Brian. Why don't we do that?
Great. And as for the next MJTC meeting, that will be scheduled for, it looks like, February 12th. At that meeting, we do anticipate having a TIP amendment or adjustment, as well as a more detailed update on the Transportation Improvement Program, the Unified Planning Work Program, and also that will be after the comment period for the public participation plan. We will review those comments that we get back with the JTC in anticipation of making a recommendation to the MPO at that meeting. So the next meeting would be the second Wednesday in February, February 12th, 2:30 p.m. remotely.
Very good. Does anyone have any other closing comments or anything? I see here none. So the meeting is adjourned.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.